Matthew Emmons-USA Today Sports. The defensive end position has been the hottest topic for the Dallas Cowboys so far in the 2019 offseason. But despite contract negotiations, acquisitions, suspensions, and brawls involving various players, one name you haven't heard much is 2017 first-round pick Taco Charlton. Where does he fit into all of this activity? There's no denying that it's been a disappointing start to Charlton's NFL career. Even as a 28th overall pick, the expectations of kick impact come with anyone taken in the first round. Worst for Taco is that he went into this offseason on a bit of a down note. Late last year, he missed a few games as a healthy scratch from the active 46-man game day roster. There were murmurings that he'd fallen out of favor with defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli, with his work ethic being brought into question. Even with a couple of solid games in Week 16 and 17, the lasting impression of Charlton has been the disappointment. And now that Dallas has made a trade for veteran Robert Quinn and signed free agent Kerry Hyder, some are speculating that they've already soured on him. But if you look at the big picture at defensive end, and particularly beyond 2019, you can see why the Cowboys shouldn't throw in the towel on Taco just yet. Just look at the contract situations for their current talent: DeMarcus Lawrence, franchise tag, currently unsigned Randy Gregory, TBD pending suspension Tyrone Crawford, likely salary cap casualty in 2020 Robert Quinn, 1-year deal. Kerry Hyder, 1-year deal. Taco Charlton, signed through 2020, team option in 2021. Durance Armstrong, signed through 2021. As you can see, Dallas doesn't really have a stockpile of defensive ends beyond this season. Even if they get Lawrence signed to a long-term deal, all those names between Tank and Taco are suspect to be part of the team beyond 2019. That means the Cowboys can't afford kick Charlton to the curb just yet. If anything, they should be rooting hard for him to deliver on that first-round potential. Positive signs from Taco in 2019 would mean getting a potential discount for a starting defensive end in 2020, when he still counts just $3.2 million on the last year of his rookie deal. Dallas would also need to decide what to do about the fifth-year option in 2021, which currently projects to be around $9.50 minus $10 million for a defense end taken in the late first round. If Charlton can finally play up to his perceived potential from 2 years ago, then those would be bargain prices. Dallas Cowboys to Taco Charlton. The problem that Taco Charlton now faces, though, is getting the opportunities in 2019 to show what he can do going forward. The Cowboys seem to be loading up onto players, and they may still have Randy Gregory back next year despite his current situation. Last season, Taco only appeared on 39% of the team's total defensive snaps. That number could go down now that Quinn is in the mix. Dallas' aggressive move to obtain Quinn may suggest that they're worried about some players' availability. At the least, they're covering themselves in case things don't go right with Lawrence's contract talks or Gregory's reinstatement. If either of those situations were to end unfavorably, that could help open the door for Taco's playing time next year. Another scenario to consider is that the Cowboys might look to trade Charlton at some point this year, perhaps even during the upcoming draft. They're certainly not going to get back a first or even second-round pick at this point, but a needy team might be willing to give up something for a guy with 2 to 3 years left on his contract. The point here is that we shouldn't mistake these other moves at defensive end this offseason as a sign that the Cowboys will just cut bait with Taco Charlton this offseason. He still has value to them given his contract, and potentially to other teams in a trade. Maybe someone else who liked him in the 2017 draft would think they can get more out of him than Dallas has. Despite the disappointing start, Taco may still have a positive impact on the Cowboys one way or another. Defensive end Taco Charlton. As free agency approached, the idea that the Dallas Cowboys would make a splash in the free agency pool grew to a boiling point. Most notably, Earl Thomas felt like a virtual lock in free agency as he and the Cowboys flirted with each other several times over the last year. the Dallas Cowboys called off the pursuit when they opted not to meet his contract demands. Even after Earl Thomas landed his deal with the Baltimore Ravens, names like Eric Berry and Clayton Geathers came through the Star only to leave without deals. Cowboys Nation seemed destined for another off-season of one-year deals offered to second- and third-tier free agents. And then the Robert Quinn reports began. When the news first broke of a potential union between the Miami Dolphins edge rusher and the Dallas Cowboys, the compensation focused on a 2024 round pick. Even at that price, Quinn was going to be a nice addition for the Cowboys. At the price they paid yesterday, Robert Quinn is a steal. Over the past several years, we've seen teams make trades for players on expiring contracts for late-round picks and wondered, how come the Cowboys weren't in on that? One trade that comes to mind is the deal the Jacksonville Jaguars made for Marcel Darius in October of 2017. At a time when the Dallas Cowboys could have used some run defense in the middle of their line, the Jaguars sent a conditional 6th-round pick in 2018 for the Bills' former 1st-round pick. It was really nice value for a player who was a legit run stuffer. Now the Cowboys have finally made a move of their own by trading for the disruptive Robert Quinn. He'll immediately slot in as the starter at right defensive end and brings legit pass-rushing destruction to the Dallas Cowboys. Finally, they have a pair of defensive ends that have the potential to wreak havoc on opposing offenses. According to Clarence Hill, Quinn comes to Dallas on a reworked contract that will decrease his base salary to $8 million but allow him to earn up to $10 million in incentives. Quinn has a chance to make $10 million WTH 7 sacks if you include the Cowboys' salary and $1 million roster bonus already given to him by the Dolphins. https://t.co/ht6fiok29r Over the course of his 8 seasons in the NFL, Quinn's averaged 8.6 sacks per season and 13.9 games played per year. If you were to prorate his sack total over a 16-game season, he'd average right around 10 sacks a season for his 8 seasons. For reference, DeMarcus Lawrence averages 6.8 sacks a season for his career and 8 sacks per 16 games. That's the kind of player that the Dallas Cowboys are getting in Robert Quinn. Disruptive. According to Pro Football Focus, which tracks total pressures as sacks, hurries, pressures, and QB hits, Robert Quinn finished with 39 in 2018, which was good for 38th in the NFL among edge players, 3 to 4 OLBs and 4 to 3 Ds. Sure, 38th doesn't sound very good, but consider that he was only 3 total pressures behind Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones is widely considered one of the best 4 to 3 defensive ends in the NFL. Only DeMarcus Lawrence had more pressures for the Dallas Cowboys than Quinn did, and he had a lot more, 63. Randy Gregory came in just behind Quinn with 37 in 14 games, but with his status uncertain to start the season, the Cowboys needed to bring in Quinn. Pro Football Focus's stops category, which is defined as a play that results in a loss for the defense, Quinn finished 33rd with 23. Aside from DeMarcus Lawrence, who had 44 stops, tied for 4th in the NFL, no defensive end for the Cowboys had more than 12 stops. Now Robert Quinn comes to Dallas where he won't be the focal point of opposing offenses' game plans. With teams having to focus their attention on DeMarcus Lawrence, Quinn will get to see more one-on-ones in pass-rushing situations. In the run game, opposing offensive coordinators will be so concerned with jetting to the second level to limit the damage by Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and Sean Lee, that Quinn will be disruptive on that front as well. Of any move the Dallas Cowboys have made in the last couple of years, this one might be the best. Yes, drafting Leighton Vander Esch was huge, and trading for Amari Cooper might have saved the season, but bringing in Robert Quinn might have taken the Dallas Cowboys from playoff participants to legitimate Super Bowl contenders. There's a lot that could change between now and Week 1 of the NFL season, but with the Robert Quinn addition, there's no reason to believe that the Dallas Cowboys won't be pushing to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Yesterday we did a projected offensive depth chart based on players the Dallas Cowboys currently have under contract for 2019. Today we're looking at the defense, which could still see some significant changes once the NFL draft and free agency are over. Just yesterday, Dallas agreed on a trade with the Miami Dolphins for Robert Quinn. This helped answer the biggest question facing the Cowboys' defense. DeMarcus Lawrence remains in contract limbo, Randy Gregory is indefinitely suspended, and Tyrone Crawford now faces potential suspension for involvement in a recent bar brawl. Many expect Dallas to focus on defense with their early draft picks, perhaps adding a safety with their 58th overall pick in the second round. Any players drafted in the first 5 rounds are likely to make the roster, knocking off some of the lower-tiered players we currently have. For the purpose of today's exercise, I'm going to go ahead and put DeMarcus Lawrence on the depth chart. I know he's not technically under contract and it could go a few ways, but the odds are that he will be playing for the Cowboys this season thanks to the franchise tag. By that same logic, I'm not going to include Randy Gregory. There may be high hopes that he will be able to get his suspension lifted or reduced, but we saw him miss nearly 2 full seasons from 2016-2017 with these issues. Crawford, on the other hand, likely won't miss more than a game or 2 with his problem. We'll go ahead and put him in for now, as there's still a good chance he won't miss any time. Who starts at defensive tackle is hard to say. For now, we'll defer to Crawford as the veteran and Woods as one of the standout players from last year. But Maliek Collins and newly signed Christian Covington will compete and have every chance to get into that starting lineup. And really, fussing over starting jobs with this defense is a waste of breath. Snap counts are what really matter. Teams use their nickel scheme more during a season than their base defense. A guy like Collins may not play the first snap of the game, but could be seen more over the long haul and passing downs. There's no mystery who the starters will be at linebacker and cornerback. For the safeties, Xavier Woods and free agent George Iloka are the best bet, but nothing is certain. The draft is going to lead to some tough cuts, perhaps a guy like Daniel Ross at DT or veteran Justin March Lillard at linebacker. At cornerback, C.J. Goodwin is a veteran who played late in 2018 but is 29 years old and offers no upside. As we saw yesterday with the offense, it's encouraging to see how filled out the roster already looks. The Cowboys could go into the season with this group and be as competitive as they were a year ago, but they still have opportunities coming up to get better. But of course, that statement gets blown to pieces if they don't figure things out with DeMarcus Lawrence. Todd Archer of ESPN and Ian Rapoport of NFL Network are reporting that Dallas Cowboys cornerback Byron Jones underwent hip surgery this week, but expects to be ready for training camp this summer. Rapoport, on the other hand, seems unsure of what Jones' availability will be for camp, calling it a wait-and-see situation. Byron Jones' surgery was described as a cleanup and he has a shot to be ready for training camp. Wait and see on that https://t.co/150Q9GZNB. Jones is coming off of his first Pro Bowl and All-Pro selections, after moving to corner full-time and having the best season of his career in 2018. Jones did slow down a bit towards the end of the season, and it's fair to wonder if his hip had anything to do with that deterioration of sorts. Jones enters 2019 in a contract year, playing on the 5th-year option from his rookie deal. Most expect Jones to be the odd man out during the Cowboys' contract extension bonanza over the next 2 off-seasons, but Jones certainly earned himself a big deal with his play. Byron Jones has not missed a game during his 4-year career.